To me, whatever you do, like whatever country you look at, I think it's bad in every democracy right now. And my point of view is, it's the government's got way too big and need to be first principalized and just reboot. We have a shitty healthcare, we have a shitty education. It costs we could do so much more with that amount of money. So my hope is on both sides of the aisle, things will be moving finally, because it kind of feels like we're some kind of mafia who doesn't want to move anything. It's like
it's just such a messy middle that this world that we live in. I mean, it's a week after the election.
Bitcoin.
I mean,
To the moon.
but the stock market just took a shit. I mean, if you want to look in real time, looks like the stock market
It
is
dropped
worried.
1% after bumping 10%. It's fine. It's a tiny shit, and
Yeah.
Oh, is it
But
crashing right now?
I think also though there's going to be fewer Fed cuts in 2025. And it's just going to be a lot of uncertainty next year. So I think that's why it's a good time. We were discussing what to discuss in the podcast before we get on.
To me, it's the opposite. To me, there's a lot of clarity for next year. It's like
I think there's a lot
at
of
least
uncertainty.
the year to me is very readable.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
we'll see.
we'll at least know who's going to be in the White House. I think what's going to be interesting is how the global makeup will look for doing a business. But I think the timing, works regardless of who is going to be elected, because of the way the cycle was turning out from the economic standpoint of interest rates coming down, and we're still in the middle of the AI cycle. And now you've got
No, we're at the
crypto.
beginning of the AI cycle, very beginning.
Yeah,
And
of this current AI cycle, yes. So I think, from a timing perspective, it's good timing to figure some things out. And for investors, I think there's some clarity there, um, of, investments that they've been thinking about. Now, if you're doing something in climate, that could be challenging. Obviously, sustainability. I have a ton of friends
I
in
think
that.
two things died this year, but climate is one of them. No one cares about it anymore. The COP29 is happening, and I think no one goes there. The French president's not going. No one can get money for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So and that could be a good thing and a bad thing. I think it could be a good thing for the movement
It's a
itself,
thing.
because maybe they can rebrand it. Because we actually do need, to make sure that we keep an eye on what's happening in the world with climate change. There's no reason why in New York it was 70 degrees yesterday in November. So it's kind of scary. And looking at everything that's happening, the hurricanes in Florida. Um, so, there's something that needs to be done. And obviously, oil is not going to last forever. At least it'll be around.
Yeah.
We'll still alive. So, and Frank's response is going to be, well, Elon's going to figure it out. So,
I mean, we're just going to get nuclear everywhere. I guess that's the logical thing to do. You just build nuclear reactors and maybe, a bunch of solar panels, and you'll do better.
But he tweeted earlier that in the future, the energy will be solar, not nuclear.
Of course.
I wonder how he changed his position.
We still have fusion. We still have fusion. That could be easy. I think maybe the solar as a future energy is because we don't let many countries use nuclear with that aspect too. But for the US, nuclear is kind of a no-brainer, but I don't know. We'll see.
Solar enough to support all this AI infrastructure that needs to be built?
I think, yeah, was it actually Google who mentioned, or I can't remember which company mentioned building a nuclear reactor just for the powering
I think Amazon
AI.
did that, or Microsoft.
Yeah. It was Microsoft. Because they did an investment in, I believe they either invested or did a partnership with Sam Altman's mini nuclear reactor, his SMR company, which one of them went public via SPAC. I'm curious how that's trading. But I think from a timing perspective, we were discussing this, and I said I feel ready to start something new. Now, I've probably said that many times in the Messy Middle podcast, but I officially feel that way. I've recharged myself from a perspective of confidence, with Tektalia being very successful this year and seeing 5 of those happen. I have cash in the bank. I have enough runway that if I make a bunch of stupid decisions, that it's totally fine for at least 10 months. So that's perfect. And I feel from a timing perspective of ideas and people in the network, people are open to things. And the irony is, the last Trump elections when I started Gamma, um, and I figured it out, and it took a little bit, but he also kind of really fucked with Gamma too because of all the anti-China stuff, and crypto took a huge shit during the Trump administration. So I'd be curious if there's the same sort, if it'll rhyme again.
Obviously not. I'm like, crypto is just going through the roof now.
Yeah, but there's still going to be uncertainty. We don't actually know what the crypto regulations are going to be.
I mean, if we listen to what people say or what Trump or Elon says, basically the idea is to say this is our one shot, to become the nation of the future, and that China didn't bet on it, and so the US should. So if I read that correctly, at one point they'll build like a Bitcoin reserve, which means every country in Europe are going to freak out.
I mean,
and they'll be like, curious. Oh shit, it's too late now.
I'm just curious how much of this stuff will actually happen, because, Elon says a lot of shit, and so does Donald Trump. So, like, are the people that they're putting in power and in charge actually going to follow through with this? Because from the last election, a lot of this stuff didn't happen, and the economy actually got worse. And you could argue, okay, that was COVID, but it was also just printing a shit ton of money, for PPP, and all the checks with his name on it. So, historically looking at it, it got bad under him. So, if you look at
it got bad also under Biden, as you said, like the management. To me, whatever you do, like whatever country you look at, I think it's bad in every democracy right now. And my point of view is, it's the government's got way too big and need to be first principalized and just reboot. We have a shitty healthcare, we have a shitty education. It costs we could do so much more with that amount of money. So my hope is on both sides of the aisle, like things will be moving finally, because it kind of feels like we're some kind of mafia who doesn't want to move anything. It's like the TMV and all these things. So we'll see. But
they're probably going to win the House, the Republicans. So they're going to have the opportunity. They're going to have the opportunity to have the entire government under their control. So basically,
and something else that's very likely to happen, next year is going to be peace. And peace is also a good thing for the economy. So if the conflicts are reduced, at least if you follow what the Republicans been elected with, with Trump, then we should have less taxes, less regulation, peace, at least on that aspect. That's super exciting for entrepreneurs. And again, the stock exchange reacted to that.
But except for the tariffs.
But as you said, we'll see what happened.
We'll see what happens, but the tariffs are going to be a challenge. And let's say you have peace. The tariffs. Let's say there is peace. Let's say there is peace globally, quote unquote peace. If you create a trade war and a tariff war with China, China only has one option, which is to go invade Taiwan, and then you have World War III. And your prediction rings true.
I'm not sure if you'd have World War III, but if they do that, I hope they do it by the end of the year. So at least my prediction can be correct. But the trade war is already happening. Like, it's nothing new. China has been screwing everybody for a while. Whatever happened, I'm not worried about the US. We might have slight inflation, which will be compensated by rebuilding the local industry, and so the idea is you would have whatever. But the one thing I'm sure is living in Europe is not a good idea right now for the next 4 years, 5 years. That is not the place to be. Asia is going to be fine. The US are going to be. I'm thinking about moving next year. Now my question, the thing I'm wondering, is where.
Every single episode.
Exactly.
No, but
since we started this podcast has been I'm thinking about moving to America. So when you
we'll have our. No, but I mean, I had finished apartment, blah blah. I always said I would move next year, around mid next year. So now my question is where. And my thinking has changed. Initially, that was San Francisco. But now I'm really, really excited about Texas. I start to wonder how many people will leave California for Texas, and it's unclear to me if San Francisco is the best place to be, or Austin or places like that are going to be interesting too.
Places every once in a while popping up that look kind of interesting, and then people
safer.
are still going back to California.
I think
I'm not sure.
I don't think
governance in California will change, so it will become more better.
But to me, that's an issue. I wish California changed. Like California needs to change. This is going insane there.
But it is changing.
You want to say, Gabriel, that people will start going back to California again?
Yes.
Like those who kind of left?
Absolutely.
That's good to know. I mean, maybe I'll end up in California again. I'm really curious.
Or the people that left won't come back, Teddy, and the younger people are going to California. Like being in New York City right now.
Yeah, that's always the case with that state.
But how do they do it? Sorry, when you're young, how can you afford San Francisco? Again, like Austin, you can look at it like you have super cool apartment for $1,000.
Yeah. So
but that's your security mindset taking over. These young kids, they don't care about security and stability.
But how do they pay? How do they pay?
But they just get a basic internship in some large tech company or.
It's like
no. They'll live in apartments with roommates and.
Yeah, they live with a bunch of roommates. Yeah. Or they have their parents cover some of it and they give their money back. Like, I have friends. I have my best friend who came from Brazil to here, and his dad gave him. He's like, here's $1,000 for 3 months in New York. $1,000 for 3 months in New York.
Okay. None of it's good. Good point. Good.
So like there's like when people wake up in the morning and they say, where do I want to move to in America? No one says when they wake up in the morning, I want to move to Texas because that's where I've seen in all the movies. And I think Austin is an incredible place, and I have lots of friends who live there and they love it, but all of them are old. I don't know any young people living in Austin that are doing incredible things. They're all in California and New York. So
in New York.
And I have, and this case in point, the most conservative friend that I have who definitely voted for Trump.
But vice versa, sorry, because to me my logic is not like that. My logic is
let me finish.
But you're going outside of Texas, so let me bounce on that.
He moved to Austin and he left because it was so boring and it was filled with just rich people that he had to go back to California and was like he's like, this is the Mecca.
No, but sure. But I mean, it was. Now the question is, will it be? And if you rebuild the country industry, where is robotic going to be based at? You see it being based out of San Francisco, where taxes are crazy. Like what I see is, it looks like the heart of like moving away from software and building robots and building like next generation power plants that powers like tons of AI stuff right now in Texas because of Elon, and also I think I saw another company, like huge company, I forgot which one, is moving there. You'll have robotics, you'll have gigantic like cluster of GPUs, you'll have energy. So I'm not so sure, that the next revolution happening now, like is San Francisco. I mean, you have cities who are great and ended up sucking, and could San Francisco be the Detroit of software? Something I'm thinking of now. I'm not saying it's not great now. My question is, will it be great 10 years from now?
I don't think it'll be the Detroit of software. I think Detroit became the Detroit of Detroit because of a lot more than just bad leadership. It was mostly because everything left America, and the production of cars, and OEM stuff is all made in China and made outside America.
No, exactly. But I mean, if you think about it, like what is San Francisco made of? Software engineers. What's going to happen in the next 5 years? Like, it's not going to move to China,
but specific case of a place where it just always finds its way. Now it's software, and it's maybe it was software, and then it wasn't because software was elsewhere because of COVID. People work from anywhere.
And
then it became AI. So now it's pure AI, but I think it's going to find its own way. Even if like hardware is produced elsewhere, I think it may. What I see from this perspective is longevity, healthcare. That could be the San Francisco kind of.
You're right. Venture capital is severe. Seattle is pretty strong, and Boston, and healthcare also is very strong. But okay, but
like innovation-wise, I think San Francisco could be that place because, like, talking to people from longevity space, there's a lot going on there.
Okay. This is helpful again. Like, I love San Francisco. Obviously, I live there. I've got tons of friends there. But I'm always obsessed about being right about the future. And I especially like being right when everybody else thinks it's not right, because that's where the right moves come.
Yeah, but then in theory,
like that analogy
was not right. It's San Francisco right now, because everybody's saying San Francisco's shit and it's the worst place ever. In theory, that's not the right place to go to. It's pretty obvious to say I want to go to Texas and go to Austin because Elon is there, because SpaceX is located in Texas. But yeah, I mean, it's like
it seems obvious, but I don't see anyone doing that. As you said, and to quote you, everybody wants to go to San Francisco. And I'm quoting you, which is just what you said before. So you're like, I'm a little confused about if it's so obvious that no one wants to go.
My quote was everybody young and doing something innovative wants to go to San Francisco or New York.
So
my quote was,
and my point is, my bet is everybody young and innovate, and my point is everybody young wants to be in a place where it's fucking cheap and
nobody wants
again,
to
might be wrong, we'll see, but
nobody wants to be in a place when cheap. I
did. I mean, I know that whenever I was moving in San Francisco or Seattle, it was fairly cheap. I had an apartment for dirt cheap in San Francisco.
But then why does everybody want to move?
I mean, again, when I went to San Francisco, it was really cheap, and this, I mean, the place I went to are the same with.
Again, we're looking things from our perspective and our the way we look at things. It's from our perspective, meaning the lifestyles we have now. We cannot compare that to the young kids moving to San Francisco for like research in longevity. They don't care about.
No, you're right. I agree with that, but I mean,
it doesn't matter, right?
I'm not sure.
From that perspective, I think it's a good place.
Your assumption is that you can put yourself in that place of that kids. I don't know if it's true that they don't care. Even if you have roommates and shit like that, you care about. I saw a video about a girl crying because she bought an apple for $7.
Could be.
I mean,
could be.
Again, I don't know. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, but like it's a good point that people are moving to. A lot of people are talking about Texas and Austin. The same thing happened with crypto back in the previous bull run. Everybody was moving to Miami, right? And somehow
which was the right move to do. I mean, Miami's so good. Like there's a lot of things happening in Miami.
I mean, you can live a life where you move constantly to places where the whatever new hot thing is. But like longer term, I think San Francisco is a good place just because it always finds its own way. And I think this time could be, if not AI, then something
longevity.
Healthcare, longevity.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm still 50-50 about where I'm going to move, so I'm taking advice.
The other thing that I wanted to kind of share my thoughts on is, post elections and vibes. I just hope that first change is good. I think that's the beauty of democracy. That's the beauty in this country.
Peaceful change. Let's hope for
peaceful
peace,
change, of course. Given that everything is like elections are not rigged, everything is in order. I love that about this country.
Yeah.
But I hope that we'll see a lot more friendlier United States when it comes to crypto, because we kind of love that battle. I hope that's going to happen. That's going to be the case. We've heard a lot of talks from both sides. Now, I mean, right now it's happening. It's hype again, but like we need change, like deep change in regulation. A lot of crypto companies just left. You can run your own crypto.
No, that's what's stupid. But I feel like
fintech related thing if you're in the US now, or it's very hard to do it.
It's such a great time for the US to make that move because China didn't embrace it. And so, if you do it, it's going to be great.
The other thing, the second thing that I hope for is change in longevity / healthcare. Again, going back to what's going on, what I've seen in San Francisco in these groups that I'm involved in, there's a lot going on. We need to ease up the regulation on that side where people can innovate. They can practically, because there are cures for a lot of things that we don't even know about. They just cannot see the light of the day because of bureaucracy. And I hope that will change as well as a second point. And the third point that I hope to see improved is the immigration. It's been my personal life journey and yours as well, Frank, long ago. But it's almost impossible for people to come to the US, great minds to just be here.
My hope is
Germany, for example. Yeah, let me just finish that. Unlike Germany, where or other European countries where you have predefined set of requirements, you fulfill those requirements, you either get a visa or you don't get a visa. It's kind of black and white. And here there's all those things and navigations, and I don't know, it's just crazy. I think they need to ease up immigration.
It's super not friendly. What I want to say is my hope is that they'll tackle down illegal immigration, which to me I've always been shocked by.
Absolutely.
Because I've been jumping through 100 hoops to become American, and I'm very proud of it. And it was not easy, and I feel like I deserve it. But I would love these hoops to get a lot easier. I feel like, the United States should be the place that attracts the best brain in the world.
Right.
And that we should do the best to retain brain and to attract brains and to have a good path for that. And I feel like between having zero rules for people who don't respect any rules and giving like such a hard rules for everybody else, there's a way in the middle, which I hope will be better.
Not just for like becoming an American, just by coming and working here or
visit
exploring
or whatever
opportunities.
Totally.
Yeah, it needs to be
business
more
friendly.
Like streamlined, business friendly, tourist friendly. I hope to see changes there. And of course, I'm against
I agree. And again, on both sides of the aisle, to me, both Democrats and Republicans should align on that.
Oh.
So we'll see what happens.
They don't really have to align, but they really don't have to align for this next administration because they're going to have control of all three.
For 2 years. I don't want the whole thing to be hard reset 2 years from now. It's just.
It will be a very hard reset, probably. So, because looking at what the voting trends were, but I'm saying they've got 2 years, so they should figure it out. And I think on the immigration side, it's also extremely nuanced. Where, if you look at the facts, under the Trump administration, it was much harder to get an immigrant visa. And a qualified immigrant visa.
I became a U.S. citizen under the Trump administration. It's so funny.
Yeah, and but you were already here for like 10 years, 12 years, weren't you?
Yeah. So started with Obama.
Yeah, but it was harder. Like the H-1B program was totally gutted. So the real question comes down to, from an immigration side, let's say they control now. They'll control the House, they'll control the Senate and the presidency. Can they pass something that's not like super insane, which is like, let's go rile up all 15 million illegal immigrants and ship them out of the country and just focus on that versus, okay, let's focus on like getting smart people here and getting those people to stay. Because I remember one of the rules was they wanted anybody who went to school here, they'd immediately say, look, you can't even get a visa to extend. And now they flipped it where they're like, if you go to school here, you can immediately get a visa. So so it'll be really interesting to see what happens. And we can go in with optimism. I'm being cynical and just saying like, based on the prior administration of Trump, it was not great. So but then also during Biden, illegal immigration was not great either. So I think the other question is from the immigration side, why do we have so many illegal immigrants? It's because it benefits the system to have cheap and basically non-taxable employees, right? Which is farming, etc., all of our kitchens. So who's going to, we're going to figure out how that's going to be fixed and replaced.
I mean, lower taxes, better regulation, robots. Again, like the country obviously is not totally in an agreement that, this is a good thing. I think it was, but again, there was a big difference between the 70s and now. Like you have such a mass of people who come, and I think they also come for their own reasons, right? And so it's the same in Europe, I guess, but you have to control your borders. You cannot just be, we're not talking about like a fraction of the population. It's like millions and millions of people. It's an issue, and the people felt it, and they, but I agree, it has an impact on the economy. But the way you deal with it is you just put zero taxes on small job.
But they're not.
You're right. Robotics will change a lot there, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I'm not sure the next 4 years, but it's like ongoing thing. They just need to ease up on the clear ways to how to get here, how to do proper work,
another
tourists, whatever.
It's really hard and it's really expensive. So that's the biggest thing. Okay. I think we had
another extreme is Japan, right? Japan has zero immigration, and they just end up with a bunch of old people and robots. But it's there's a way in the middle again.
There's a balance,
historically,
right?
Japan has done that because they're xenophobic, so they do not like foreigners. So I mean, they've had. But
it's a data point. I'm not saying Japanese are nice people. All I'm saying is you have extremes, on every country, and I feel like the US can find something balanced.
I hope. I hope.
What we need is just a legal immigration process for people who wants to work on, for jobs like that. But if people are getting paid without paying taxes, then that just means the taxes are too high, and we need to adjust that to reality.
But taxes are too high.
But it's going to be state-based. Like some states will do it, some other states will not.
Mm-hmm.
So again, which state is going to be? Well, I don't know. We'll see.
It's going to be.
But it's funny. But it's funny I talk about San Francisco and where to go again, because that's what happened when I came in 2008, 2009. I came to the US because everybody was telling me I should not go to the US, that the US is dead, that the country exploded, that San Francisco was the worst place to be. In my year when I asked for H-1B, I think a year or two later, you still had like 30,000 H-1B available because no one didn't even dare or wanted to apply.
It was global financial crisis, so
it was very US centric. But that. Mm-hmm. But that's why, like, I'm obsessed with finding these places where people don't necessarily see it as a good place, but that could be an amazing place. We'll see. I guess the thing I'm the most worried about for California is what will happen with the governor of California versus Trump. And because he said clearly he will apply zero policy, nothing. So there's going to be a lot of conflict. And I'm not sure how that translates from a business perspective.
I don't think it matters. I mean, there's not much the federal government can do to California because California is like the fourth largest economy in the world if you pull it outside of the U.S. So they have more.
I agree.
They have more than enough. So the federal program. So they cut some school funding, or they cut. They're not gonna cut border funding because the argument is if they cut border funding, then they didn't protect. So like I'm not concerned about that. But the problem is maybe your TSA pre-check though might not go through. Like when New York State was fighting with Trump last time, it was so funny. Thank God I was a Florida resident, right? He was like, everybody that's TSA pre-check, you have to go in the regular line now. It was TSA pre-check and global entry. You got to go in the regular line, and so I
hope they fix. It's not fixing immigration, but I do hope they fix like airport security. It's just awful experience. Like I feel like the US is the only country where you're American, and when you come back, you feel unwelcome. It's not like, hey, welcome back. It's like, where were you? What did you do? It's like, Jesus. Like, why do you care?
It's the only country other than like North Korea where you can't really travel or.
Yeah, I don't think North Korea even have like airport where they check people. I think it's just one guy with like, oh hi Chi, how you doing?
I would say the easiest immigration. I'm thinking, let's end on the easiest immigration, like going into like not the easy, like the easiest border control. What was
experience?
For you? Yeah.
My top two were New Zealand, where I arrived and the guy at the immigration was like, where do you go? And I was telling the city and I was like, where do you stay? And then I said the hostel. And it's like, oh, say hi to Sally and you should go there. And there's like a nice pub. I was like, okay, that's cool. And weirdly enough, it's going to be a surprise to most people, but Iran was one of the best one I had.
Oh, wow.
Where I arrived in Iran and the guys were like, are you American? I'm like, no, I'm like just visiting or whatever. It was at the time where Iran was in good relation with the US. And then the guy said, follow me. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to go to jail for the rest of my life for some random reason. And the guys, I was like, okay. And then the guy took me apart and were like, do you want some cookie and milk? And, they're just so happy to have people visiting after so many years. And now I guess they're going to be back at not having anyone visiting them.
What was that,
maybe 10 years ago? That's 10 years ago, something like that.
Must have been more than 10 years now.
It's got to be more than 10.
Maybe. I think it was, maybe a little bit more, but not that much. And I was so excited for Iran. They have like amazing talent. The women were so modern. The developers were amazing. I remember playing music in like the university there with, I was like, wow, it's awesome. The country is entering modernity and like the whole thing collapsed and we're back to the dark days and that sucks. But anyway, so I'm not sure I would try it again. Maybe it was a nice experience a couple of years ago, but I would definitely not go back now. That's not going to be a good experience.
Why not? What's your prediction that we're going to be fun?
Oh, Iran is a big question for next year. I think it's the biggest question for next year in geopolitics with, even Taiwan maybe on number 2, but Iran is definitely the big issue next year.
I mean, it's
huge issue.
Yeah. So my best border control experience. Let's think. Where was it? China's very easy. I always love China because it's like boom, 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 and you're done. Like because it's super efficient.
Oh, wait a second. China immigration is nice, but before that, you need to spend like half a day in the freaking embassy. No, you didn't have that? Like to get your visa? Okay, well, look here.
I had a service. I had a 10-year visa, so it was fantastic. So I would say Chinese was really good. Like all the Asian ones are good except for like Vietnam.
Do I have a 10-year visa? I have to check.
It was bad. Oh my god, we lost Frank. So Teddy, your immigration stuff, and then let's do a quote.
Just checking my passport and see if I have the 10 years.
Somewhere between any of the Balkan countries, where when there's like a lot of traffic at the border, you just like they just go. You don't even like show documents. So that's probably been the easiest. I don't even remember. Like getting in the US has been pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm like regularly coming here, like having business visa or tourist visa, whatever. I never had any issues, thankfully.
Yep.
It's been pretty easy.
Yep.
Good.
Who's got the quote for this week?
Not me.
Teddy, you do the quote.
Let me figure it out. So there's one that I like lately. It's from J.R.R. Tolkien, and it says, "Little by little, one travels far." And it's just relevant for me because really small incremental progress over a longer period of time really pays off in multiple aspects.
I agree. It's a beautiful quote.
It's really nice.
Love it too.
Next week, we will talk.
Bye.
Bye.